1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hello.
Welcome to the Kennedy and Clark Masters of Rock Talk podcast.
Masters of Rock Talk back on the dial, traveling at a speed at 45 RPMs, where the vinyl will bring you to a new destination. On with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm one of your co-hosts, co-creators, and co-conspirators, Ferris Kennedy, and next to me is a man who's not really a big fan of the Beatles song Old Brown Shoe.
Not at all. Just a George Harrison song, not a Beatles. Anyway, my name is Dr. Richard Kimball. I didn't kill my wife. Dr. Ian Clark.
Ian, it's good to be back into the Joni Sadler studio here. It's been a while for those of you that are been listening to both the podcasts, SRT as we like to do in acronyms and MORT in acronyms, so Serious Rock Talk and Massive Rock Talk. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with a beautiful edition of Ian Canadian music this time.
Well, this is going to be a very unique perspective, and we mean it tongue-in-cheek, and we'll tentatively call this Outstanding Hosers of Canadian Rock, and yes, we can say that because we are Canadian. There are several possible origins of the term hoser. One theory is that, I like this, it comes from the practice of hosing down a frozen rink or pond after a game of hockey, which I've done, to make the ice smooth again. The losing team would often be responsible for doing this, so the term hoser became associated with losers. Okay. Whatever its origins, the term hoser has become well-known part of Canadian slang. It's often used in a humorous way, which is what we're doing today. We're just having fun. In fact, Canadians are well known for their sense of humor. We have an irony that somehow devolved or evolved from the combination of accepted humor from the United States and Great Britain. Canadian rock is loaded with talent and, yes, loaded with hoseheads. In fact, they really go hand in hand. The following hosers are not in any particular order, but I have to put a few prominent ones just to kind of for the palate, to give you a taste of where we're going.
Because he's so jacked up from watching the beautiful Junos again, he figured, this is it.
This is it, yeah. I didn't watch them on purpose. The ultimate hoser, I think, has to be, there's no question about it, he works hard at it, and that is, okay, you're sitting right now with your headphones on, whatever, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Burton Cummings. Burton Cummings, originating from beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba, is without a doubt the most talented hoser of them all. Great songwriter, great voice. Burton takes hoserology to a new level. Go back to the old 1960s interviews and you can see his hoser-ism in its nascent form. And through the years, he never abandoned his roots. He battled to keep his mullet, his bandito mustache, whatever. He wore unsophisticated attitude on his chest like a shining medal. Burton is the real thing. He is worthy of praise, facial hair, and emulation. That's why he's at the top of our list.
And you have to stand tall.
You have to, he's just the mullet. He would put Wayne Gretzky to shame. Amazing mullet.
He's a great songwriter, too.
Incredible. Next up is Neil Young. Okay, Neil Young is a special kind of hoser. He's actually invented a few characteristics of the hardcore hoser. It's more than his garbage man clothes and Neanderthal haircut. It's an aggressive, in-your-face attitude. He really hates moisturizer, and he's going to let you know about it. Now, one of the facets of Neil's hoseritis is his sociopathic tendency to want to teach you about things way outside of his lane. For instance, Neil Young wrote a whole book, which I read, that jabbers about the need for alternative car engine fuel. Neil Young is always the guy I turn to when cogitating heavy tomes about non-renewable energy sources. Adding to the supercharged hoserama is the fact that Neil Young thought Charles Manson was an interesting songwriter. He jammed with the killer, helped write new music with him, gifted him with a motorcycle, and even tried to cut a record deal. He went of his way to, was it Terry Melcher? He went of his way to try to get this future murderer a record contract. This screams hoserama to the heavens, and he's always been political. Listen, when Lynyrd Skynyrd mentions you in their song that says they don't need you around anyhow, you might want to listen. And for a while, he boycotted Spotify, protesting Joe Rogan. Now he's back on Spotify, likely short of cash. It happens.
It does. The next one I have on the list, well, not list, but definitely have to mention, is Gord Downie, and everyone knows him as the lead singer of the Tragically Hip for more than 3 decades. Even when he passed, his legacy still lives on. He was basically the band. I liked his way of engaging with the audience, his songwriting, in touch with nature, took a lot of Canadian political events and put them all together in a positive spin. There was hardly any negativity on this man. He was very cultural, very resourceful. There was so many things that Gord Downie did for Canada, and when he passed in Canada, it would be the same way if Bob Dylan and Michael Stipe and Bruce Springsteen had passed in the United States, just to kind of give you an idea of how he meant to the Canadians here. I did want to point out that with the Hip, during his Hip days, he had 17 studio albums, 8 solo albums, 17 Juno Awards, an Order of Canada in 2017, which Dr. Clark and I are still waiting for, Canada's Walk of Fame in 2002, Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 2005, and in 2012, the city of Kingston, Ian, they renamed the prominent portion of Barrack Street in front of the K-Rock Center to the Tragically Hip Way. So
there you go.
That is
look, Ma, top of the hill.
Top of the hill. The next one on the list is Tom Cochrane.
Oh yes, Red Rider
from Lynn Lake, Manitoba.
Oh, of course, entertainment capital of the.
Now I've always, to me, Tom Cochrane, he's up there because as a child of a product of the 80s to the 90s, Tom Cochrane was always prominent with Red Rider. His style, his look, given the fact that he's older now, he still looks the same. Even in Manitoba, they've renamed a highway after him ever since that Life is a Highway song that he did. But again, I like to point out some of the accolades of Tom Cochrane. Who he's joined Red Rider in 78. He just became the lead singer and songwriter. And then by 86, when their manager left, they were just billed as Tom Cochrane and Red Rider. So I guess he took over and said, "This is my band." Music Hall of Fame guy, 2003. He also received the Officer of the Order of Canada. I'm not quite sure what that means, but okay. He's even got a Royal Canadian Air Force's 419 Nighthawks Squadron honor.
Well, I'm glad I'm sitting down. You've accomplished man.
6 solo albums, 7 studio albums with the Red Rider, and
he can't find a good barber though.
And he's got a few Junos, I believe, to his name. Next,
yes,
none other than the king of arena rock, Bryan Adams. And as most of you know, obviously I'm biased because he should be top of the list, but I figured I'd give it to Burton because he is the ultimate hoser.
Yeah, he beats Bryan on that. I don't think Bryan had a mullet.
No, Bryan never had a mullet. He basically started off in a band called Sweeney Todd, and he then became the lead singer because why not? He is also known for the staple of arena rock with his signature raspy voice. He's no stranger to accolades in his career. Since 78, he's been with his best friend, Keith Scott, that he's been with him side by side. Back-to-back albums like Cuts Like a Knife and Reckless are hard to top. 16 studio albums, 20 Juno Awards, 1 Grammy, Order of BC, Order of Canada. What more do you want?
Oh, I'm glad I'm sitting down. He's an accomplished young man.
The greatest rock and roll band of Canada ever.
Yeah.
Is Nickelback's Chad Kroeger. This is,
boy, you're really inviting letters.
I am. He's fronting one of Canada's greatest rock bands since 1995. Before that band was known as the Village Idiot. That's what they were known as. that they were
Oh my God, this show is deteriorating so badly.
taking that and forming what Chad and the boys have formed today with 10 studio albums and approaching 30 years of rock, which has now made them eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not too bad. The band you love to hate, but not me, is still going and performing. Their rock shows are proven to be eclectic. Nickelback has received, and I want to put the facts here, 12 Juno Awards, 7 awards from the Much Music Video Awards. They've also received 2 awards from the American Music Awards, 3 Billboard Music Awards. The band has 6 nominations for the Grammy Awards, but has not won any of them yet. In 2006, they received an award for the World Music Awards of World Best-Selling Rock Artist, beating a well-known artist like Green Day, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Coldplay.
And they named part of a highway in Las Vegas after Chad, I think.
And they were also inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame in 2023. Wow. All right, next, I have to give credit to this young man, or not young, but he's older than me, Geddy Lee, founding member and lead singer of Rush since '68, defaulted being the bass player as there was already a guitarist in Alex Lifeson, overshadowed by a drummer who was known as the Professor Neil Peart. Very humble and successfully accomplished musician. Whether you like them or not, you can never deny their music accolades and appreciation as being the perfect musicians. Rush has received 24 gold records and 14 platinum records, including 3 multi-platinum, placing them 5th behind the Beatles, the Stones, Kiss, and Aerosmith for the most consecutive gold or platinum studio albums by a rock band in the United States. They are prog rock of Canada and open the doors to Canadian bands to cross over. 9 Juno Awards, and they've been inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Geddy Lee himself is known as one of the bass players, 6-time bass player award in 1993.
Again, and they have a highway. No, they don't. A small sidewalk.
Do they have anything named after them in Burlington?
No, nothing I know in Willowdale, no.
Oh, Willowdale, sorry.
We don't do that in Willowdale.
No?
Nah.
All right, so next on the list for my good friend Ian is, as they say it in Nova Scotia, touring Miles Goodwin.
Late Miles Goodwin. Yeah, April Wine. Okay, April Wine was formed in 1948, just after the war. And no, I'm 1969, I'm sorry. They're from Beatific, Woodstock, New Brunswick. Okay, April Wine had some great hits. Truly one of the boys of summer. You know, I've said this before in this podcast. If you can make your living in Canada with music, you have a feather in your cap from me. And April Wine consistently does this. They've gone forever, since 69, and they're still going strong. So it doesn't really matter if you like them or dislike them, just the longevity alone. And that places the band in some kind of hosiery, because it does the quality. I'm not even going to go there with it. It's just longevity. Think about that. A lot of people have jobs they hate, can't stand. These guys just play guitars and sing old hits, and they get through the summer, and they probably sit around smoking whatever during the winter, and go back to the summer again. Kudos to them.
So next on the list is Mr. Baritone himself, Mr. Brad Roberts from the Crash Test Dummy. And obviously everyone knows that he's the most identifiable through his distinctive bass baritone voice. His musical career began with a bachelor's degree with honors from the University of Winnipeg in '86. Ian, how did you feel about that coming out of university and you're already a musician?
Wow, I care, Superman. Okay.
So he began performing with Paul James and Curtis Rydell at the Blue Note Cafe in Winnipeg. The band does have longevity since '88 with the 4 same members. Stage presence is a little bit different, as he likes to sit and stands and plays with the guitar and interacts with the crowd, but nothing, doesn't go around like Gord Downey or Bryan Adams. He just likes to stay in one area, which is kind of interesting. This band only has 1 Juno Award and 3 Grammy nominations, 8 studio albums, and then 1 solo album called Crash Test Dude, which is a collection of acoustic hits from the Crash Test Dummies and eclectic covers. Talk about hoser.
Yeah, I don't know. You can. The next up, do you have anybody after that you want to slide into?
I have Rain Maida.
Sure.
And then yours is going to be really good.
Yeah.
I got Rain Maida, who everyone knows is the lead singer of OLP, Our Lady Peace.
Yeah.
He's known for his unique countertenor nasal falsetto. He's also very cryptic and poetry-influenced song lyrics, one of the most successful Canadian bands of the post-grunge era. Issuing platinum-selling album after platinum-selling album while also enjoying considerable acclaim in America, emerging in '94 with the Zeppelin-esque Navid album, which featured their breakthrough single Starseed. They have basically 4 Junos, and yeah, that's about it. And 10 Much Music Video Awards, Ian.
Wow. I mean, again, I'm glad I'm sitting down.
You're just, like, look at you. You're just kind of like in awe with all this.
Wow, and a sidewalk and 15, in order of Canada. Okay.
Does MVVAs mean anything?
It means nothing to me. I mean, Sebastian Bach. Sebastian Bach, as he was known as Sebastian Philip Burke, maybe Bierk, B-I-E-R-K.
Bierks. I think it's Bierks. Is it Bierks?
I don't know, Björk. He's born in Bahamas and raised in scenic Peterborough, Ontario. When you look over his career, you get the feeling there's a lot of luck. It's as if he can't believe it himself. I mean, Peterborough, George Street. He was a singer with Skid Row for about 9 years, I think from 87 to around 96. And if you listen to the interviews back then, you just get the feeling that maybe he's distracted or something. There's not a lot of clarity, and for this, he has a minor position on the totem of hoserology.
Next on the list, I've got Stephen Page and Ed Robertson. You're like, why? Well, I'll tell you why. These two artists could only coexist together to be successful as the Bare Naked Ladies. Both Steve and Ed went to school together. They did not become friends until they met at a Harvey's after a Peter Gabriel concert. Page even gave Robertson an extra ticket to a Bob Dylan concert at Exhibition Place. You've been there before, Ian.
Yes.
And pretended they were rock critics and inventing stories about Dylan's band. They formed the band Bare Naked Ladies in '88, and it's still going. They co-wrote the songs that are big hits in North America, 14 studio albums, 7 with Page. By combining humor and eclectic mix of folk and pop rock, BNL enjoyed considerable popularity in Canada before rising to international status with their full-length debut 1992, Gordon. Consequently, the band had their big hit in the States, which was 1 week. And these guys have 7 Juno Awards, 2 Billboard Awards, 2 Grammy nominations, 4 Much Music Awards, and 1 World Music Award.
Incredible.
That's it.
Incredible. Next up, John Kay from the band Steppenwolf. You know, John Kay, his early life is actually more interesting than this band. Check it out on Wikipedia. It's amazing. He's born in Russia, had to get out of rather East Bloc, Berlin, with his mother. Like, it's incredible. He's a smart guy, and one of those guys that's probably a little too smart for the job, like Bowie or, Frank Zappa. And when he talks, his German accent's decreased over the years. Go back to the 60s interviews, and it's kind of funny. What really made Steppenwolf famous is they got an Easy Rider soundtrack with Born to Be Wild, and it turned into a biker anthem. Now, what John Kay did, unfortunately, he used to be like a flower child, kind of with the band in Yorkville area in Toronto in the 60s. And when he became big with the bikers, he flipped and started wearing Jim Morrison leather pants and cut-off T-shirts. And this gets him into hoserology. He didn't have to, but he did. And to this day, he kind of still does it. And he doesn't really have to. Steppenwolf was a great band. They have some great songs. But John still does this kind of weird Jim Morrison thing because it's a biker band. So he's a hoser for sure. Next up, I have somebody called Karen Lynn Greening, and she's from beautiful Belleville, Ontario, born in 1962, changed her name to Lee Aaron, became Canada's metal queen. Again, like Steppenwolf, or more like April Wine, you just admire her longevity, someone belting out metal hits after all these years. She's not a hoser per se, she's on this list simply because of her somewhat static approach to music, almost like Sass Jordan, kind of an approach that they'd mix it up a bit, you know what I mean? And they'd probably do better. Is she a hoser? Not really, but this is my podcast and our podcast, so I can say what I want.
Next, I got Alanis Morissette, big Ottawa icon. They got a street named after her. Everyone knows her as a former child actress turned dance pop diva. what has Alanis not done? She actually introduced Taylor Hawkins to Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. I just want to put a little trivia. She dated Dave Coulier from Full House, who was Uncle Joey, Matt Perry, and Ryan Reynolds. 11 studio albums. She's got 14 Junos, 7 Grammys, 1 American Music Award, 1 Brit Award, 1 Billboard, and 1 Billboard Woman in Music Canada Walk of Fame. What?
Oh, sorry.
Why?
I have issues. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny and I, there's a division here. These awards mean nothing to me because some of the best musicians and stuff that I like never won anything. And so when I hear people, he won a Grammy. Hey, he won a... So what? It's just a business. So what?
But there's so many of them that haven't won. Like the next one over here that I'm talking
Who's
about,
that?
If he's on the list, which is Ian Thornley. Ian Thornley did not win anything.
Good for him. But in your own kind of life, think of some of your favorite music and think how many awards they won. Probably very little. And think of the ones like the Mariah Careys who have a truckload. It's enough said.
Well, no, Ian Thornley, does he deserve an award? Of course he does. Why not? He's been with Big Rex since '94. Him and Brian Doherty, started the band. Then they formed Thornley, so people are like, oh, it's his solo stuff. Well, not really. Brian Doherty was still with them. But what hasn't he done? Like, everyone knows him as the Oaf or That Song. As the 90s ended, Canadian-American neo-prog hard rock outfit Big Rep climbed the charts. They were there into 2000s. They were there in the 90s. I grew up on these guys, and you got to thank Chad Kroger for introducing Ian Thornley to one of the writers to get his band going. So, unfortunately, they haven't won anything, but I like Thornley. I think he's a good artist. Next on the list, Ian, is a guy that found his guitar again.
Yeah, it's Randy, as they say, Bachman, or I say Bachman. It's probably Bachman. Yeah, you might know the story of his guitar, the Lost Found. It's on CBC, and it's that alone is hoseritis.
What did you call it, Ian? Him and his stupid guitar? That's what it was?
I think in a previous podcast, that's what I said.
It was our New Year's Eve show.
But it was just, him as a member of the Yes Who, very talented songwriter, great guitar player, kind of come see, come saw singer. But Bachman Turner Overdrive. Listen, just the fact that he's Burton Cummings' best friend will get you in the hoser pantheon, right? Okay, I think it's often the characteristics of rock and roll which makes these guys sound kind of goofy when they're interviewed. And Randy's been interviewed a lot. In fact, he had his own CBC show, Vinyl Tap. Wasn't bad. You see, rock and roll began really as a teenage dance music. It wasn't taken seriously, nothing intellectual. And so when you try to base kind of more intellectual thoughts on it, it just doesn't work. It's almost like a juvenile art form. It's a tightrope walk. You have to be really careful. You can pull it off, like Lennon or something. But I'm not sure if Randy really gets it when he tries to be profound. And for that, and for being Burton's friend, he's in hoserdom.
Well, here's another hoser that's on your list, Ian. Greg Keeler.
Greg Keeler. Now, he's from exciting Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Greg Keeler is in... Blue Rodeo, has been for years. I saw them years ago. Kind of a Canadian country band, I'll put it that way.
Oh, alt country, they like to call it.
Alt country.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah, but they've won lots of awards. No.
Have they?
Probably. And they have a street named after them. And who knows? I mean, the thing is... Okay, I'll talk. There's two guys. There's another guy named Jim Cuddy. They're kind of the yin and yang of Blue Rodeo.
Who's the better looking one, by the way?
Well, I dated Cuddy. He's a handsome man.
He still looks good. Actually, he was hosting an award at the Jumos.
Oh, there you go. He got an award.
He was hosting. He was presenting. So he presented an award.
There you go. So Greg Keeler, in a way, he's like a Neil Young mini-me in terms of haberdashery and general personal hygiene. So that gets him on the hoser platform. Cuddy is different, kind of slicker, but the fact that he's, Keeler's buddy, I mean, that's all you need, right? And to be considered a hoser, he doesn't really have the mullet going anymore, but he does wear hockey jerseys when performing in a concert. So he's on his way to hoseritis.
All right. So next on the list I have is Jeff Martin. which is the lead singer of the Tea Party, Canada's 1990 prog rock band. His image was influenced by Jimmy Page as he used the signature cello bow to play the guitar. You gotta love that. Even looked like the legend himself a little bit when he grew his hair out. Regarded as a progressive rock band, the Tea Party style fuses blues, industrial rock, and psych-blasted progressive rock with Middle Eastern influences. Whew! The band describes himself as a Moroccan roll. I don't get that, but good enough for me. Listen, I know awards mean nothing to you guys. That's fine.
0.
They got 12 albums.
Wow.
Okay, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
They're still going. They've been nominated for many things, 22 MV and Much Music Awards. And they've been nominated for numerous junior awards, and they've gotten niente. In that case, I'm quite okay with it because, Ian, like you said, it means nothing.
For me, it's nada.
Because I like the music. He's a good songwriter. Next on the list, Benjamin Kolowitz.
Who's that?
He is the lead singer of the Canadian punk quartet Billy Talent.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell you how many awards they have.
700.
10, but they were nominated for 32.
There you go.
They are literally the grassroots of the 90s. These guys were from Streetsville, Ontario, Ian.
Little place.
Little place. So that's basically it. Billy Talent, you know who they are, and I'm also going to lump him in with Derek Whibley from Sum 41. Everyone knows who he is. He was basically known as Caspier, Supernova, Pain for Pleasure. Then they decided to go with the name Sum 41 from 96 onward. So they were there in 94. Obviously, you know Derek Whibley because as a youth growing up, you got to see him with Avril Lavigne because they were an item. That was pretty cool because they're both coming up and coming in Canada. 8 studio albums, 2 Juno Awards, 2 Much Music Awards, 1 Woody Award. Ian, you like that one?
I'll take anything. I think they're all exciting.
And this one here is pretty interesting. 1 Alternative Press Music Award for the best drummer, Frank Zumo, in 2017.
Oh, that is so impressive. Thank you for mentioning that.
That's who I got there. So next on the list for me, and the rest is all you, Mr. Clark. I got Alan Doyle.
Okay, go ahead with Alan Doyle.
Lead singer of Great Big...
Multi-platinum sales, too, for Big C, yeah.
How'd you know?
I didn't. I just guessed.
11 of their albums have been certified gold in this country.
Again, I'm sitting down.
But look, they went on for 20 years, and that was it.
You couldn't stop him. No.
But he does still solo stuff.
He does.
He's a big guy with the Newfoundland Growlers, which is an ECHL team, which is it's a farm team of the Leafs. The Day That Pat Murphy Died is their top song off the album of Play.
It was a multi-platinum seller, too.
It was.
Who knows?
Thank God you're sitting down for this.
Again, it's so exciting. Kim Mitchell from incredible Sarnia, Ontario, 71 years old. He's with Max Webster, the Max Webster Band. Mega hoser, proud of his hoser roots, has blatant disregard for fashion and a decent haircut that doesn't emphasize male pattern baldness. Finally said the hell with the hair and just shaved it off. God bless him.
He had no choice.
No choice. It was terrifying people. One of the boys this summer has done some radio work. Good musician, as always, has my enduring respect just to make a living. Platinum Blonde, been around since 1952, 84. The only constant member is Mark Holmes. In a weird way, this band is kind of a knockoff of the Police. I know it's not, but it kind of is.
Duran Duran-ish?
They're 3 guys. They're kind of glammy, big, blonde, puffed up hair. Had a few hits, in-your-face rock and roll. Boys of Summer, though, right? They were known for their videos back when people could do things like that. Had some singles. Mark Holmes is still going strong with them, so power to him. Let's talk about Murray Kevin Berg. I remember him well. And not Murray Berg, it's Mo Berg.
I love the way you said that.
That's his name. Pursuit of Happiness. I remember them from the 80s.
Tipo.
Yeah, from Queen Street West in Toronto, Mo Berg. Mo Berg is too hip and cool to be a hoser. He just isn't, but I had to include him because just to cleanse the palate, so to speak, just so I could finally get to the other book. And we started this with Burton Cummings, and we're going to end with Rompin' Ronnie Hawkins because he is the godfather of it all. Born in Huntsville, Arkansas, and I think he's buried in Peterborough, Ontario, alongside the guy from...
Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. He's not dead yet.
No, isn't he?
No.
Oh, okay.
His career is, but not him.
The Hawk, Ronnie Hawkins. Okay, Ronnie Hawkins is more interesting of due to his friends than actually what he did. He couldn't really
dated
sing
Beverly
great.
D'Angelo.
He dated Beverly D'Angelo, which is mysterious to me as the creation of the planet. I don't get that at all. He wasn't a songwriter. He wasn't a great singer. Wasn't a great dancer. He could just attract talented people, and that, I guess, is a talent. And so he attracted guys like Lee Von Helm and Robbie Robertson, and he formed the band. And then one day they got up and left, and then he formed another band, which became well known. So he's an interesting cat. He's in your face. Ronnie Hawkins had no pretensions, which is kind of an attribute of hoser-itis, and it's admirable. And it's kind of Canadian, too. And he wasn't intimidated when John Lennon stayed at his house for a week and ran around in his snowmobiles. He just wasn't intimidated by Bob Dylan when Dylan met him. Dylan loved him because of it. He was comfortable with himself. I'm not even sure what that was. He had his own place called the Hawk's Nest on Yonge Street in Toronto. And so he was a rough and tumble guy. He's sitting on the throne of hoser-itis, and one day he will be displaced by Burton Cummings. But for now, rest easy, Hawk. And that's it. Canadian singers, hosers not.
Well, that was a very good show, very informative. We had a few laughs.
It was good.
And signing off, I'm Ferris Kennedy.
I'm Dr. Ian Clark.
And until next time,
Bye-bye.